Hey everyone, this is Derek here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at another interesting drop or loot location in Miramar, the new desert map that was introduced in the recent 0.5.0 global update to PUBG Mobile. So in a previous video on this series, we took a look at the North Island, I called it. It's the northernmost island that is located east of the large continent that mostly comprises this map. And there are actually 3 islands in that chain, and I mentioned in that other video that 2 of them are pretty viable for dropping. So what we'll be doing today is we'll be looking at the central island, which I think is also a decent drop spot, and one that not a lot of people know about just because most people don't think to drop on an island when you're playing a desert map. However, as you'll see, there's some decent loot, and I think it's a pretty decent spot, especially if there's a boat that spawns and you can travel onto the mainland, because that's the biggest issue with these drop spots, is that you loot up some pretty decent stuff, and then you're left swimming across, and that's not good at all. You're very exposed, very open, and it's very slow. So there's also a smaller southern island, which I might do a fun drop video on, because it has a lighthouse, it has some some structures, and it's cool, but I don't think there's really enough loot there, enough decent loot, and enough of a chance for a boat to spawn to make it very viable if you want to win the game. So here we go, we are approaching the island. You can see this is an ideal flight path if you want to drop on these islands. They're not always in play just because of where the plane goes. However, this time going basically overhead, so why not? So you can see here we are almost to the automatic drop. We're going to get kicked out pretty soon with the AFK people. I could have dropped a little bit before this, but we're about 700 meters away still, so I figured why not. So we're going to switch over to the dab drop here, which is still one of the fastest ways to get on the ground. And definitely look for videos on that coming soon as far as talking about the differences, the changes in drop mechanics after the 0.5.0 update. So we're going to aim for the structure that looks very much like the structure that's found on Power Grid. It is that large, lighter sand building. And we'll try to land on the balcony here. Usually there's nothing here on this one, so I don't know if stuff actually spawns here or not. However, there's enough good stuff that spawns on the other balcony for Power Grid that I figure it's worth a shot just to make sure. So there's a UMP9 or an UMP. I always say it that way. We've got a police vest level 1, and here is an extended quick draw and a first aid kit for it. So that's pretty good. So extended quick draw for the UMP and then a first aid kit for me. So that's pretty decent right away. I'm a little bit worried about that other guy that I saw flying over this way. I'm not sure if he landed here too or not. So I'm going to try to get some decent weapons and attachments and armor. Still missing a helmet, obviously. And let's see what else we can find. So there's another first aid kit. That's pretty good. There's another holographic sight. You don't need that. Level 2 backpack. We'll go ahead and upgrade that. And you want to check up on top of these little buildings or these little rooms within this larger structure, because occasionally good loot spawns there. There's a level 2 vest. We don't need that. We already have one. There's another red dot as a flash hider for an AR. And I'm going to check up here too, just because you never know what's going to. Oops, and I slipped off there. So you actually don't have to jump onto that crate. You can actually hop up right there, and I recommend doing that just because it's easier. There's a VSS. Actually, it's a pretty rare spawn. I haven't gotten that many times. I've never gotten it here before, so that's pretty cool. But I don't recommend jumping up on that crate because you can see there, and there's a 4x scope. Okay, so this is looking pretty good, and a flash hider. But that way it's faster, number one, and you don't have to worry about, hey, there we go, a military vest and another 4x scope. So like I said, some pretty decent loot here, and this is why I recommend starting in this building, because it generally has the best loot. Now, if you know other people are also dropping on the island, there's one exception, and that is that you should instead consider dropping on the roof of this building, because you could potentially engage them. I'm pretty sure that guy didn't drop here. He might be on the other island. But I recommend dropping on the roof of this building because you can usually find a weapon, and then you could engage the person who is coming in right behind you. It's a little bit faster than trying to find a gun. This is a suppressor for the UMP, so we'll swap that out because you can get a weapon and engage faster than going to the building that I went to. So there's an AKM. I think we're going to swap the UMP for the AKM because the 7.62 is a lot deadlier. Here's a quick draw mag, not my favorite, but it's something. There's a Win 94. There's the new one of the new rifles in the game. Also came out in the 0.5.0 update. There's a dual frag grenade. It's kind of cool. And after you've looted this structure, so I think we're pretty much done here. I'm just going to make sure I have to loot this other, I almost forgot about this other larger part of it. It's a pretty big structure. So I don't really see anything good here though. So, oh, there's a level 3 backpack. I stand corrected. Okay. And there's an M16. So I think there's another suppressor for a SMG, but I think we'll swap out the M16 for the AKM just because the 5.56 is a little more controllable, especially, and it's a faster bullet too. So if I want to use that 4x scope, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. That might be a good idea. So here's one of the spots you could land. I recommend landing above this. There's an extended for it. Hopefully I picked that up. There we go. We can swap out that quick draw, which I am not a huge fan of. We'll get rid of some of these other things, make some space. And there's a M416. All right, sweet. So we swap out the M16 for the M4, which is much, much better, especially once you have the attachments on it. And let's see what else we've got. So now I think we're going to check out this other larger warehouse. I wouldn't recommend starting here just because, one, the quality of the loot generally isn't as great, and two, it's just a lot harder to loot quickly because you're so open. There's a motorcycle helmet. You can see I was really struggling to find a helmet this game. There's another extended mag, and there's another extended quick draw. Okay, sweet. So now we've got that for the M4. We'll swap those guys and then get rid of those. Free up some inventory. Get rid of the 7.62 for now. Don't really need it. And there's a smoke grenade. Maybe grab that. I don't really tend to use them too much there. It doesn't look like there's anything there that's that good. There's a boost item. That's pretty cool. It's one of our first boost items. A cheat pad for the sniper for the VSS. That's kind of odd. I hardly remember that you can use that with the VSS. I'm used to it because the integrated scope and stuff. You know, it's weird that there are any attachments other than the magazine, of course. And we'll check in here. So you can see how I'm just systematically going from building to building. And there's some pretty decent stuff here. So, you know, you should check all these buildings, especially if you're alone and you have the time. So you can see we have a level 3 backpack, level 3 vest, M4 with a decent amount of ammo, not too much yet. Now we're going to go into these buildings. There's another AKM if you needed 7.62. There's a Mini 14. I will swap to that and then swap back to get the ammo from it, get those 20 rounds. And there is a level 3 helmet. So now we are full level 3. So this doesn't always happen every time on this island, but you can see there's some pretty good stuff here. And yeah, so we're going to swap to the Mini 14, swap again back. That way we can get 20 more rounds of ammo. Now we're looking pretty healthy on the ammo, 280 rounds total. Going to check that other building. There's an extended mag for the VSS. That's very useful for it. And it's going to check that last room real quick, and then we're going to move over here and do very much the same thing. There's a tactical stock for the M4. So we're looking pretty good, honestly. There's another Mini 14. So if you want a Mini 14, I was contemplating switching to the Mini 14 instead of the VSS because I have the 4x on it. But the VSS is fun. It's silent. You know, it could be useful later in the game, especially with an extended magazine and automatic. So I figure, why not just have some fun with it. But Mini with a 4x scope would be pretty good combination too with that extended magazine. So you can see those are the main buildings. So that's pretty much everything. Those are the main, let's see how many that would be, 4-ish. Yeah, I think it's about 4 or 5 buildings. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually just running towards the shore just to see if I see a boat there, because this is one of the docks. This is the main dock actually, so for this island. So now that I see a boat, and I know the circle's starting to close in, but I still have a little bit of time left, so I think I'm going to go ahead and loot the 2-story and loot the other U-shaped thing, the other house that's to the left of it, just to see if we can get any more ammo or any other healing items. I could use some more heal over time. There's a grip for the M4, which is good. Some bandages, that's perfect. That's kind of what I'm looking for because we're full level 3 already. We have M4. Obviously, if I can find a suppressor for it, that would be great. But otherwise, I mean, I'm pretty well looted out. So this is there's an extended quick draw for the VSS, so that's really good. So that's looking good. So we're full attachments on the M4 now. We've got the VSS fully equipped, and this is a pretty strong combination, honestly. So I think we're going to check that last house just because we have time, and then we'll make our way. There are some other buildings on this too, but they don't tend to have as good loot, and you usually just run out of time. Honestly, that's kind of the limiting factor here, is you just run out of time because the zone's starting to close in. And we have a boat though, so I'm not too worried about getting into the zone. Plus the first zone does so little damage, so no big deal there. So like I was saying though, just like the other island, this one is also very viable, especially if you're playing solo or duos. I mean, is there enough great loot here to fully equip squads? No, because you can see that just in the helmets. I got lucky. I've got a level 3 helmet and a level 3 vest, which is awesome, and a level 3 backpack. But there weren't tons of duplicates. I think there was one other level 1 helmet, maybe another level 1, and that was about it. So if you're playing duos, you could definitely get pretty well equipped through just visiting this island and then floating over to the mainland on a boat. However, for squads, I still steer clear just because I don't think there's enough good stuff. So there's still some more buildings to the south of me that I didn't get to, but the zone is here, so you kind of just have to make the most of the looting when you can. And that's about it. So another fun, yeah, I know some people said it's not a secret location or hidden really because it's on the minimap, but it's not really marked. And like I said, I think when people think of Miramar, there is the other island that we'll look at for fun at some point. But I think when people think Miramar, they think desert, they think dry, and they forget that these exist. So there's the other boat spawn for the island with those other buildings. You can see there is a jet ski. So actually 2 boats on this island right now. I'm going to hopefully not beach this. I'm trying to showcase that other island a little bit just to show you what's on there. But instead, I almost, there's a jet ski on that island this game, so that's pretty good. So, but like I said, you can see not that many structures there, not that much loot. Maybe as a solo, it's a fun location, but other than that, not worth it. So, hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, definitely give it a thumbs up to help other people find it, and consider subscribing if you haven't already for tons more PUBG Mobile content. My name's Derek G, and I hope to see you on the battlefield soon, or in the Discord, which I'll also leave a link to down below.